Hello again. I'm Liam, and this is my YouTube channel. Today I want to ask what seems a fairly simple question, but answering it is going to require a lot of work, I think, for us. I'm not really going to try to answer it today. I'm simply going to present a simple problem that I've noticed and see if we can start a bit of a conversation on the issue. So, here's my question. Is truth dead in politics? And does truth matter in politics? Does honesty matter in politics? Is it even relevant anymore? Because I think that if we don't address the basic problems that we're running into today with truth and honesty, I think that it will die in politics, and that will cause us a lot of trouble here. The surest path toward a kind of totalitarian movement in the United States and in the Western world is through the complete loss of honesty, of any kind of factual basis, and our consumption by propaganda mills. So, I don't know, let's take the current discussions here over immigration as a starting point. Trump has been repeatedly in tweets in recent days blaming Democrats for the separation of families at the border, saying that it's a Democratic law, that Democrats in Congress have to change this law, that it's not his fault, all he's doing is enforcing the law, etc., 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 and goes on and on about this. So, is there any truth to it? The simple fact is no. Zero. Zip. Nada. There is no truth to it whatsoever. But his fans seem to believe it. They eat it up. They hear him say, it's the Democrats' fault, I'm just following the law, and they believe it. The fact is, there is no law that says that families should be separated at the border. It simply does not exist. All right. The closest that they come to that is by citing a 1997 agreement and a 2008 law on human trafficking, both of which actually refer to unaccompanied minors crossing the border, and saying that unaccompanied minors crossing the border can be separated before they move into the foster system here, or children who are being trafficked across the border. That's very different from what's happening with families. What they're doing is treating a family crossing the border as if the parents were child traffickers, were taking the kids across, I don't know, sell them or some horrible thing. It makes no sense at all. There is no law about separation here. Separations were extremely rare before this and generally had specific circumstances around them. And the actual policy shift is on record as something that Sessions announced. He began discussing this in April, talked about it throughout April and May as a shift in policy to do this as a deterrent, basically to punish families. Which really should fall under a kind of like cruel and unusual punishment here, since obviously taking a child from their parents and locking them up in a cell separately and, often in a different state entirely is going to be traumatic. It is going to cause problems for these children and problems for the parents. You are punishing them as a deterrent to the crime of crossing the border. And that really is the key issue for them. They want to treat every crossing of the border as a criminal act. And that in itself is problematic. You have people who do cross the border who have legitimate asylum claims, who may be granted legal asylum in the United States. And yet, if everyone crossing the border is set aside for prosecution, then you're going to have people who are given asylum who will then have a criminal record. This seems patently unjust. It's not the way it's ever been done before. The whole idea here stems from a nativist idea that you want to prevent people from coming in, so you're willing to take draconian measures to do so. That's the key issue here. But my problem here is the blaming of Democrats for this. Democrats aren't in power. They can't do anything about this now. And saying Democrats need to change the law makes no sense if there is no law about separating children from families, and there simply isn't. Another good one here that you can throw into the mix is the whole Spygate question. And of course, this is picked up immediately in the right-wing press. People on Fox News say it over and over and over again in their presentation, Spygate. They simply adopt the phrase here. If you haven't heard this particular scandal, there was discussion here of contact with Russians by members of the Trump campaign, so the FBI arranged to have someone meet with these guys and talk to them and see what's going on. That's literally their job. It is the FBI's job to investigate possible crimes. Saying that this is the planting of a spy in the campaign is patently false. It's not what happened. Saying that the FBI acted inappropriately is also false. And this is noted by people who understand the details of this. Even Trey Gowdy, who pursued Hillary Clinton on that Benghazi thing over and over again for ages, even he says the FBI did nothing wrong here. There is no spy. They acted appropriately. And yet it's simply said. And the reason for this is quite sinister. It gets back to why what I'm talking about with truth. You'll have to excuse the crinkling sound. I have a cat who's exploring something over here. I don't know what she's doing. But the reason for the use of this term is simply to discredit the investigation. Period. That's it. Rudy Giuliani even admitted this on television. He argued that since there is no way to indict a sitting president and pursue things criminally, that the best that will happen out of this Russia investigation is that hey, cat. The Mueller investigation will result in a report, and that report will be presented to Congress, and to the American people here. And the only recourse at that point, if there are actions that are problematic, if there were crimes committed here, the only recourse related to the president, if it's determined the president acted inappropriately, is impeachment. The only people who can carry through an impeachment are people in Congress. Those are our Congress critters, right? The House has to vote to impeach, and if the House votes to impeach, it goes to the Senate where there's a Senate trial. In both cases, Giuliani's argument and the administration's argument is that the representatives will vote the way the American people want them to vote. It'll be voted democratically. So it won't be about whether or not they committed a crime. It'll be about whether or not we believe they committed a crime. And polls have shown that a majority of Americans today, do not even know that the Mueller investigation has resulted in criminal charges, in indictments being passed down, that there have been results, that they have found criminal activity already. The fact that people don't know this, and the fact that the administration is intentionally lying about this to sway public opinion as a way of then swaying the votes of people in Congress suggest that they're arguing that the president is therefore above the law, that there should be no way to prosecute this, and that the truth doesn't matter. Honesty does not matter. The facts don't matter. What matters is what people believe. And I think that's a very dangerous assertion. Right? Newt Gingrich even said as much during the campaign, said that what matters is what people believe, what they feel is true. If they feel it's true, then it's true. There's a great example of that with the whole question of immigrants and crime. I'm just incensed by this. Immigrants to this country commit crimes at a much lower rate than native-born peoples. This is demonstrable fact, and yet the nativist argument is, we shouldn't want immigration because they bring crime. What? Right? Trump just did this, yesterday or something, made a comment about how we don't want what Germany has, what Europe is doing. Germany's letting in too many immigrants and their crime is off the charts, that the crime rates are terrible there. And this is patent nonsense. The crime rate in Germany is at its lowest level since 1992. Think about that for a minute. It's at its lowest level since 92. And Trump is saying crime is high there because of immigration. And he knows that the people who listen to him will know nothing about German society, the German crime rates, the German criminal justice system, German immigration, but they do know Muslims are scary. Foreign people are scary. People from different cultures are scary. I'm scared. And if I'm scared, it must be because they're really criminals. It can't be because maybe I'm just irrationally scared, right, of difference, that it might not have any basis in the facts. So the question here again is, does fact matter? Do we have to deal in a realm of pure emotion? My emotion is to be afraid of something that's different, and therefore I'm allowed to invent stories to justify that? Is that okay? How do we deal with that? I think that's a tricky question we're going to have to sort out in this society. So there's my little discussion for today. I'll keep it nice and short and go take care of this annoying cat. Have a great day. If you enjoy my little discussions here, remember to subscribe down here below, and we'll see you again.